In today's video, I wanted to share the process of painting this feathery painting using Liquitex Acrylic ink. So as you might have noticed, I'm really into this ink. It's really fun to use. It's very versatile because you can get very strong colors and also very subtle watercolory colors when you dilute this ink. I often have a hard time choosing a color palette, and I feel that when I try to think of colors off the top of my head, I think of very unimaginative colors like, red and green and blue. But actually, if you think of the color blue or what you would call blue, there are so many things that you might call blue. It could be more of a grayish blue, smoky blue, sky blue, very vibrant blue, very dark blue, and so on. So I wanted to just approach choosing the colors from the opposite direction and just take a bunch of my inks and mix them together and just use whichever colors emerge from mixing the inks together in different quantities. For this painting, I used Turquoise Deep, Naphthol Crimson, and Cadmium Yellow Light Hue. The interesting thing about Turquoise Deep is that it's a bit of a greenish color, but when you add red to it, it turns a little bit more bluish. That was really interesting to see. And you can even create a dark blue with it. So I wouldn't even have imagined that that was possible just from thinking about what colors I get. And that's why I love experimenting, because the things that emerge are things I couldn't have imagined on my own. When I paint something and I'm just starting out, oftentimes I feel very critical of myself and I think, oh, these colors are a bad choice and maybe they're childish or maybe they don't go together. But oftentimes what I do is I just keep going and I finish the painting. And a lot of the times people on Instagram like the colors, or I like the colors, even though I didn't like them in the first place. So that's why I've learned to ignore my criticism when I'm in the middle of painting and just finish the painting and think about it later. And even if I don't like it, I still learned about what I don't like and learned that I want to try something different. In this case, I think the colors look very happy. I can't say this is my favorite color combination, but I think it's okay. I'm really happy that I'm experimenting with different color combinations, and I plan to keep doing that. After the ink dried, and it dries pretty fast, I started adding these lines on the feathers, as I often do. I decided to use a slightly more concentrated color, the same color as the feather, for the lines. You might be able to see that the color looks much darker when it's wet than when it dries. I did want to experiment with having pale lines as opposed to having very strong contrasting lines or dark lines. Actually, the following day I made another painting where I went the opposite direction and I made the lines using the most concentrated ink right from the bottle. And I asked people on Instagram which they preferred. And some people preferred the pale, some people preferred the contrasting dark lines, and some people liked both. So I think it's just good to experiment with all the different types of variations you can think of. I had a lot of fun making this painting. I've painted so many feathers and I seem to be on a feather painting spree. I still feel that I'm learning something by painting these feathers because I'm practicing my brush control and water control, and I'm practicing mixing colors and seeing what colors might work together and what kind of atmosphere I get using different colors. I'm practicing drawing lines. I'm getting to know the inks themselves, or watercolor if I make this using watercolor. So I'm still getting a lot out of painting the same thing over and over again. I don't feel like I'm just stuck or something like that just because I've painted feathers in the past. I really enjoyed making this painting. I'm still really excited about using these acrylic inks. I love them. Pushkin here is one of my 5 cats, and he helped me a lot with this painting. So thanks, Pushkin. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'll see you in the next one.